So let's face it, creating organizational charts or organograms can be too monotonous, boring, and even too manual for us to repeatedly bring in the various features that we need and the various tools or connectors that would make our organogram look professional at the end of the day. But we can actually leverage Active Directory identities and be able to import that data into Visio and auto-generate our organogram organizational chart in record time. And leveraging various features that we have, such as the user data existing within Active Directory, the manager info, such as your CFO, your HR, your IT director, etc. And using the pre-existing AD structure, we can actually come up with our organogram or organizational chart in record time. Now, what exactly do we need for us to achieve this? Well, the first thing we need is access to that Active Directory data. Now, if you don't have access to that, maybe your systems administrator might be able to help you. They can actually bring that data into an Excel sheet. They can do that, or maybe they could make it available for you within your SQL database or maybe any other DB that you have within your environment. And once you have access to that, of course, it would also mean that you already have access to Visio, let's say 2019 or 2022, whatever. With previous versions such as 2013, 2014, the backward compatibility might actually be an issue over there. Certain features might not really appear as they do in this demonstration, but with this, you should be good for you to go with that particular task. So once you have that, of course, have access to SQL, Excel, DB, etc. And finally, you'll be able to auto-generate that data as desired within Visio. Now let's jump quickly into Microsoft Visio and look at how we can achieve this particular task. Right, here we are within Microsoft Visio, and the first thing you'd need to do once you're in this area is to head and look for Microsoft Visio's organizational charts under templates. This will bring you the various features, tabs, and tools that you simply need to actually quickly create this. So I'll go ahead and just select organizational chart over there. And once this opens, hit the create button. And in this area, you can see you have your home, your insert, draw, and various other tabs. The tab that you want to leverage for this kind of work is the organizational chart, which you'd only find if you have selected that template. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what we need to do in this area. So the first thing we're going to do is to click on data. And from here, we'll go and select custom import. Custom import has various options that are provided, such as Excel workbook. If you're extracting this data or importing it from Excel, you have Access Database, you have SharePoint, you have SQL, you have other options that are provided over here. And in our case, the data that we're making use of comes from Excel. So all we have to do in this case is to go ahead and click next. All right, so from here, we'll go ahead and browse for that file. So this will take us to our local device. And in here, we can look for Active Directory update. That's what I'm looking for. And with that in place, I'll click on next. And we can go ahead and just select next if we want to. A quick note over here, you'd realize that this option says select the first row if it contains column headings. Now, your first row in most cases would have words such as title, maybe name, last name, maybe other features that you actually use within your organization. So if that's the case, make sure that that is included too. If you do not want to include it, just deselect that option. All right, so let's go ahead and click next over here. And in this area, we have the various columns that we're going to be dealing with. We can actually look at that information. We can see the title, we can see the last name, first name. That's what we want. So go ahead and just click next. Once we have done so, we also still have access to decide what exactly we'd like to see. Do we still want to see the first name, last name, and title, or do we only want to see the first name and title? All right, now, depending on what you're actually going to do within your organization, if this is a project, maybe this is information that is to be shared with, let's say, your stakeholders or any other parties, make sure that you select relevant information. In my case, we'll go ahead and select last name. And once we're happy with that, we'll select next and click on finish. Okay, so there are the users that we've simply imported, and this makes it way easier for us to actually begin working within our organogram. So what we have to do over here, we simply have to pick our CEO, and I'm not an expert when it comes to actually structuring all this. So I'll bring my CEO in that area, and maybe I'll also get my CTO. Of course, why not? I would like to see my CTO somewhere close to the C-suite over there. So for auto connection of those, I would simply pick them like so. Oh, it appears we have actually added an extra arrow, which is not supposed to be the case in this scenario. So I'll simply go and add those two. Okay, so just quickly position CTO, COO, and maybe bring in the COO, of course. So I'll simply bring in the COO in that manner, readjust position, get my CFO, drop them over there. Okay, let's see. Sometimes you might actually get that error simply because the route you're trying to choose has already been picked for one of those shapes that you have. So you can just reposition and find the best location over there, and you can get your legal team, I've got Nyasha over there, get my CTO, get my IT, the HR, etc. And you can actually go about setting all those as desired. It isn't complicated as it might have been in other applications. This makes it much easier and you can complete this work in the quickest possible time. And that, my friend, is how we can go about leveraging the data that already exists within our environment to create organograms, organizational charts within our environment. For now, see you in the next one.